Okay, so these are the questions we consider. So, why do we do lessons learned? As I said, fundamentally for me, my motivation is I want to do things as well as possible, take a pride in what I do, and I don't want to waste my time, I don't want to waste other people's time, and I want to get better. You know, like if you feel like you're stagnant, your job isn't as enjoyable. So if we're improving, I think, and that improvement's recognised, if we can cascade that, then I think that's where we get the most benefit. You know. The other thing is, when was the last time you communicated a lesson learned? Or somebody communicated a lesson learned to you? I think is an important question. As I say, I'm going to describe kind of my approach as I go through, especially the approach has kind of ramped up for me a bit in the last 5 or 6 years. But the last time I communicated a lesson learned was Monday. Okay, the organisation that I'm working with just now, they're setting up a big PMO office to cover a global expansion of their manufacturing facilities. The sites are in China, America, France, Ireland, and the PMO is in Denmark. So basically what we did was we developed a risk management system. We implemented it on the sites and we started to get feedback that said, the cost thresholds don't work for us. You've developed cost thresholds that are reflective of the program, not our needs as a project. But the difficulty was that the organisation prescribed it. So the executive prescribed it and it didn't work for the guys on the ground. So we put a case together, and on Monday, we got the approval to change the thresholds, which was quite good, and it's changed organisationally, which, as we go through, you'll see the lessons learned loops, and you'll see that with an example like that, we've covered all of the lessons learned loops. We've improved the people, the projects, the processes, and the organisation's matured. It's a pretty big achievement, you know, which I only found out after I did this, so that's why I've added it in. Feeling quite good about that this week, okay? And do you do it regularly? You know, do you include it in meetings? Do you speak about it every week, every month, every year, just at stages of the life cycle? We all get different. I'll show you what I think happens. Might be different in your experience. Okay. So, what's the problem in doing lessons learned? It's hard. Right, it's difficult because it requires you to be humble. It requires you to be really honest that you got it wrong, or at least you need to get better. Okay. When that happens, quite often when you have these conversations, what happens is someone has to get the blame. You know, the bad guy over there. I worked in the Middle East for 8 years. Usually that means you get sacked. So that's a pretty horrible environment to live in, or work in. It's a really nice environment to live in, actually. Very sunny. The focus is often on the tools. We talk about lessons learned registers, databases, you know, storing the information. Most of the people that you work with don't have access to these, or they're not going to go and look at it. You might send them a link, you might give them an account, user access, but they're not going to go into it. It doesn't happen like that, in my experience. And then what quite often happens is, because we follow the advocated industry approach, or we try to, by the time we get to the next project, the people that have learned the lessons, they're already gone. Okay, so, and a lot of that, I think John mentioned it, or maybe it was an earlier one, they mentioned, you know, sort of inherent organisational experience kind of thing. If that knowledge, if that goes, then it's much harder to improve, because you're usually starting over again with new people. And quite often that's what PMOs are set up for, new projects, you know. So I mentioned Patrick Lencioni earlier. This is the triangle, okay? And fundamentally what we're saying is we need to be vulnerable. So one of the examples of that was me at the start of this saying, I haven't done this for 18 years, you know. And it's not because I want you to have sympathy for me. I want you to understand that if I'm a bit nervous or I have to stop for a drink of water again, but I've got a bit of honesty, you know, and I'm not claiming that everything I put up here is correct and you must do it, you know. And if we don't have that honesty, then how can we have a conversation about it? How can we have that conflict? And this second part of the triangle is actually what motivated me to get really excited about lessons learned, because I'm really good at conflict, okay? I can talk all day, all night, have a discussion. I'll even argue with myself, okay? By the time you start, in the past, I've started a discussion at one position and then argued against it at the end of it. Okay. I like it, it's fun. But if we do this properly and you have a discussion with each other and you're really honest and you're open about what you're trying to achieve and why you're trying to achieve it and why you think it's important, then you'll get that buy-in. And if you get that buy-in, that means people in your organisation won't be standing around the water cooler saying, don't do it like this, I wouldn't do it like that, I don't advocate this. They'll be saying, how do we do that? That's great, I'm excited by that, I want to be part of it. Okay? And if you get that, then it means we're all accountable. It's shared accountability, you know. And once you get to that stage, you're actually focusing on achievement. It's called results here, but I think you know what I'm saying. I'm saying if you go through the process properly, then you're going to believe in each other. If you believe in each other, then you're going to want each other to be successful. It's not a competition anymore. Although I do create some competition later on, but that's different. Okay. And quite often, the problem's exacerbated because we have PMOs are set up, as John mentioned in the earlier meeting, for solving problems. But quite often they're set up brand new every time. Even if it's big government contracts that have been going on for generations, there's a new PMO every wave. You know, this is a fast track PMO. This is a new EPMO. This is, you know, because every time we fail, instead of taking the lessons forward, we tend to start again with new people. Okay.